Alright guys, so this is our third video for our warm-up series, and what you are gonna see is definitely the deadlift warm-up. Hi guys, this is Clinton, and today what we're gonna show you is definitely the warm-up for the deadlifts, both conventional and sumo. Before we even start onto the videos, I just wanna let you guys know a little bit more about why we are doing this warm-up series. What we see a lot of people do is they like to do a lot of isolation exercises, all the exercises, and then they end up doing like 10-15 exercises before they even start on the bar. So by the time you hit the barbells, you're already more or less fatigued and basically finished a bodybuilding routine. All these exercises that we have shown it to you guys, it's a variety of them. Basically for squats we have 4, bench we have 4, and then deadlift, pretty much we're gonna show you about 4 exercises as well. What we actually want you to do is to pick about 2 exercises for each lift. So from the videos that we have shown to you, just pick 2 exercises, 2 from squats, 2 from bench, and 2 from the deadlifts, and use them as your warm-up routine. Why you only need about 6 exercises? Actually 6 is a lot, but why do you need all these 6? Because these exercises are actually more or less full body exercises that can actually just warm you up overall to get you ready for the training. So we don't need to do a lot of all these isolation exercises like what calf raises and shit. There's no point doing it. Alright, so once again I want to let you guys know all these warm-up exercises that we have shown to you, just pick 2 of each and then use it and try it out, and hopefully create a routine for yourself so that you can train better and work more efficiently when you're training. All these exercises can be done whether or not you are doing a squat and only bench session on that day. It doesn't matter. All you need to do is to step in, do all these warm-up exercises, and then you start whatever training you are supposed to do. With that having said, let's go straight into business.
Hi guys, this is Jay from Technique Matters. So we're going to jump into the warm-ups for the sumo deadlifts. One of the really important things about the sumo deadlifts is actually about hip rotation. So a lot of people think that the sumo deadlifts are actually all about just external rotation, external rotation. That's not necessarily the case. Why? Because when you actually begin to pull, you see that your hips actually need to go through a motion of internal rotation. So we're going to start with a little bit of an exercise to help you to work that range of motion, and it's pretty simple. I think some of you might already know this exercise. It's just something to get you moving, get some get the hips a bit more mobile and get a bit of blood flow going. So I'll have Clinton with me to demonstrate the first exercise. It's just a 1990 sort of hip transfer drill. So pretty simple. You're just going to sit on the floor like how Clinton is seated on the floor. He's going to put his hands behind him just to really just give him a bit more support. And then what he's going to do is he's just going to take the inside of this knee to the floor and the outside of the opposite knee to the floor as well. So he's just going to spin through about about 10 reps each side. So he's just going to kind of work his way around that range of motion. So it's pretty simple. You're just trying to get your hips moving through internal and external rotation independently on both sides. So this is really good if you feel like you've been sitting very long, or you've been at the office or at school or anything, just to get the hips moving a little bit. It's also great for the squats as well. So the second drill that we are going to show you is called the sumo glute hold. So this is actually an exercise that Clinton uses with a lot of his lifters, especially those that are just beginning to learn how to do the sumo deadlift. It's very important because, like I said before, we want internal and external rotation, but still the sumo deadlift will start in an externally rotated position. So a lot of people don't know how this feels like. And a lot of people definitely, from our experience, don't know what active external rotation is. So they just think about stretching their adductors out. They just think about, feeling very, passively stretching out the insides of their hip, which then gives them a lot of like hip issues. So what we want to do with this exercise is pretty simple. You want to find an anchor point that you can put a band around. So it's pretty simple. What you want to do is attach a band. Make sure you have a little bit of a cross, and the reason for this is because it really spreads the tension evenly across both areas. So if you just loop it around, sometimes you can pull unevenly on one side and then you'll be externally rotating harder on one side. So this is something that we want to kind of avoid, so that's why we loop it around. All right, so then you're gonna get into your sumo stance, and what we want from this position is to ensure a few checkpoints. All right, so to make the checkpoints easy for you, we are going to go from the feet up. All right, so the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you have pressure on the outside of your feet, kind of driving outwards this way, okay? And the very important thing is you don't want to be driving too hard to the point where your big toe lifts off the ground. So you don't really want there to be any space here, right? You want to make sure that big toe is down and that you feel little bit of the inside arch of your feet, okay? Then the next thing we do, we're moving up the chain to the knees. So you want the band to be kind of pulling your knees in, so Clinton, if you exaggerate it, and you are actively driving the knees out. So imagine there is a little line here. The line is trying to point out towards the ends of the plates. If you imagine there is a barbell here, okay? And when you do this exercise, you shouldn't really feel your adductors, you shouldn't feel your inner thighs, right? What you should be feeling is a little bit of, mostly on the outer side. So you have your feet, pressure on the outside, a little bit of calf maybe, and then you should feel a lot of your vastus lateralis. And then the next thing that we're going up to the hip is you want to feel the glute medius over here. So you are using that glute to externally rotate the thing. All right, the important thing about this point at the hip is, Clinton, can you just arch your back a little bit for me? So you don't want to be in this position. So if you film from the front, what you'll be able to see is if you posteriorly tilt your pelvis for me, so tuck your hips for me. You see how he can externally rotate his knees a bit more, and if he arches his back, you see how the knees naturally come in. All right, so the key thing about this drill is if you come to the side, we want to make sure that his hips are not arched where it's excessively out. So in a big like an Instagram, booty chick doing a big arch like that. But you don't want it to be overly tucked as well. So you don't want it to be flexed to the point where everything is very round. So you just want a nice natural tuck so you can drive the knees out and feel the right muscles.
Alright guys, so it's me again. Just now JJ has mentioned to you and showed you a few warm-ups for the sumo, and then now we're going to move on to those who are doing conventional deadlift. In a conventional deadlift, what we actually really encourage you to do is to create more leg drive when you are at the start of the lift. So this is the first part. We have JJ over here to demonstrate for you, and normally with this setup, it's actually sort of like a quad activation drill for your conventional. At the same time, create the same movement pattern for the conventional deadlift. So you can use a kettlebell deadlift as well as a barbell, whichever it is, but in this case, we are using a kettlebell for now. So what JJ is going to do is to try and set up in his normal deadlift positioning. So what's happening is we actually want him to sort of warm up the quads and the VMO a little bit as he goes up, because most of the time when people like to pull, right, they just want to think about using their back to extend, right? So this drill actually helps to warm up and work the legs a little bit so that when you're deadlifting, you don't have to think so much about it, okay? So once again, JJ, go into your conventional deadlift position, grab the kettlebell. Okay, so probably you want to get your hips a little bit higher. So this is more or less about your conventional deadlift position. Back pretty neutral. All you need to do is to create a bracing, and then you want to try to extend using your legs, maintain these two positions. So what you are thinking of is driving this and this at the same time. So let's go. Okay, so do not lock the knees at the top. Okay, you want to create a soft knee at the top, right here. Okay, so probably go a little bit slower and then down. So more or less like a, like a hypertrophy kind of movement for you. Go for about 8 reps and try not to rest at the bottom. Touch and go. Yeah, touch and go. So right at this point when you continue to do this, you want to make sure and monitor that these two are going up at the same time. So if these two are going up at the same time, means you are maintaining torso angle, and then you are actually using your legs at the initial part of the drive. This is the purpose of this warm-up exercise, and let's move on to the next one. Alright, so we have a deadlift rack reserved for JJ with a tissue paper. Okay, pass it to me. Alright. This is another good drill for you to sort of choke your barbell when you see one in the gym, and then you can use it for your warm-up for your conventional deadlift later. Alright, so what's happening is JJ is just going to use the bar. So this drill is actually to sort of warm up the hips a little bit more. It's an isolation hold. So in a sumo, we also did an isolation hold, which is the sumo glute hold. And in this case, all he needs to do is to use the bar. You can put on some weights if you feel that you're super strong. All right. All he needs to do is to go into a pause deadlift position. So start from the top and then go down to the pause deadlift position and then hold. So what he's supposed to feel, right, is maintaining the core, keep the bar close to you, sort of engaging the lats a little bit. And most of it is more or less the tension around the legs. Okay. In a previous warm-up, we can come closer. In the previous warm-up, we try to prime up the quads. So he's ready, definitely. So over at this point, he should not feel much of the quads. So he will start to feel a little bit more tension on the hamstrings, which is what we exactly want to do for this warm-up, okay? So give yourself about 20 seconds, okay? And then you come up. Say 20 seconds is up, and then we come up. JJ, you can come up. Okay, reset your breathing, and then go for one more. Control your way down, yeah, and stay, okay? One very important thing is you do not want to drive your knees all the way forward. Drive your knees forward. So if you go like that, you might as well don't do, right? Okay, then you come up higher. Okay, so this is where the hamstrings will be loaded. So this is where you want to keep your hamstrings and try to feel the engagement of the muscle. Okay? Okay, done. You can put it back. So that's it for the deadlift warm-up. Pretty short and sweet, eh? So basically what we want you to do is to use some of the squats warm-ups to be included as well in the deadlift warm-up. So 2 squat and then 2 for the bench and 2 more for the deadlifts, and you're done and ready for any kind of training you're about to do. We are about to release the giveaway very soon in this week, just when the video is released, which is Wednesday. The next few days we're gonna start release the giveaway, and you guys should participate if you want to get something out of us. So this is it, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Until then, see you. Goodbye.